Here we go then. You know, if I'm SK, I know I'll be wanting to make a stand, even though this game does not matter for me anymore. And Misfits, as said, they have their eye on that first place in the regular season. Guldborg said, we have to see something that gives them the tools in the early game, so let's see if that's what happens.
Yeah, so, okay, another thing is as well, I think Vetheo has been performing very well on the Syndra. It's not the highest priority, but it's a good matchup every now and then when you know what you're playing into, and it sets you up nicely for a 2v2. I think SK Gaming, they recognize where some of the strengths can come from Misfits in the early game as well, which is Zlatan's Lee Sin. He was allowed to have it yesterday, and we just saw the kick as well in the breakdown. Like, this is a guy that does well on high mechanically champions like this.
I agree. I mean, for me, I just want to see, first of all, like what happens with Jinx in this draft, because I feel like both teams really like Jinx.
Yes, for sure.
So I would love to see a Jinx ban from Misfits side. And then also, I remember yesterday TF was banned against Misfits, so let's see what happens with this champion today.
Yep.
And it's also just the fact that it opens up for a different kind of League of Legends. We saw it in the G2 game yesterday where FLICKR was then playing Israel. Like, all of a sudden when these hyper AD carries are getting taken off the table, we get to see different styles that allows for 1-3-1 as well, as we saw there. So moving into this, there's still a lot of power picks open, like the likes of Gwen, the likes of TF, the likes of Ryze. I mean, this draft is just getting completely overloaded as it already goes.
Yeah, I agree. Also, as we can see, Leona has not been banned yet for Treatz, so maybe he might first pick it, but let's see if they ban Jinx here or not. Also, they banned Aphelios, it makes more sense to ban Jinx,
Yeah, so they're smart about it. They're kind of on blue side. We will ban Aphelios now. If you don't go for the Jinx ban yourself, we will first pick it. And quite often what this allows you to do is go for a stable pick for yourself as well. And I think that may just be the one to go for. It has a lot of early game playmaking potential just because you get to shove in the wave and you get to move around.
Making Nisqy very happy, the fact that Ryze is a high priority.
I mean, I don't think I don't think we'll be seeing Vetheo on TF here, but I think he'll probably play Syndra or LeBlanc is my guess with Zhao. Makes a lot of sense. Or Orianna as well, if he wants this game.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen Vetheo that many times on TF. It's a good point that you mentioned that.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you play TF, usually you want like really great silence. I feel like Misfits' identity is not really on Vetheo roaming the map, so that's why. Let's see, maybe they will go for Jarvan for Gilius here, or maybe Viego too, I'm not sure.
Viego?
Yeah, but with Jhin already locked in from the side of Misfits, we know they kind of want to play for a top side. Jhin is one of these more facilitating AD carries instead. And once again, once Aphelios and Jinx is off the table, a completely new kind of League of Legends kind of gets to flourish, where it is maybe more about the solo laners. Good call on the Jarvan to come out as well. There's already a lot of early playmaking potential with Jarvan, with Ryze. Oh, and this might be really nice to see as well.
Kalista.
So, what do you mean?
It could be the Kalista Jarvan
you're right.
Actually. I mean, right now I think Vetheo would lean more towards the LeBlanc, in my opinion, because when you play against a Jarvan, usually you want to pick a mid that has like a dash. Poppy, okay. Maybe it's just teasing us with the Poppy, or maybe they might just pick it for Mersa.
Well, the thing is, yeah, that's the thing. I think that's a good call as well, because even down there with the Steadfast presence, it can also just be like psychological. Now the Poppy is in SK's minds. They might want to ban it leading into the second ban phase. And it's interesting to see these. Well, we don't know if it's a blind pick Alistar yet. It could be a potential Alistar blind pick as well.
It's the first Kalista, by the way, in the LEC in 2022.
Yeah,
yes. Welcome back, our queen.
I don't think she's that great, but I feel like maybe Jezu and Treatz just want to go out and have some fun and try to win lane against Neon and Mersa, but we'll see what happens. I think Vetheo should look for the LeBlanc here on mid, so I would not be surprised if SK looks to ban it as well. So what's left? It's Syndra, LeBlanc, and Orianna left.
They clearly also suspect the Jarvan bot because they keep banning out the jungler. So the jig is up. Let's see if now they switch it up again.
And I still wonder on this side as well. You see the Akali there, LeBlanc, I think it will be the fourth band, the second band to come out there. I still think Syndra can have some value. I think she's great against low range AD carries like the Kalista as well. That makes the game very difficult for her to play. But will it, the likes of Jhin as well, more aggressive mid laners like the LeBlanc or even like the Akali, which has been banned away, is also something you could like to go for, because there is some backline access. You have an Alistar to follow up with as well. So Misfits, I think they have a lot of tools right now to either just be creating a standard control mage draft, play up towards top side if they want to have that counter pick available for HiRit, or they can just go for an all-out dive to backline if that's what we're looking for.
I mean, right now I see Orianna working really well because they've seen Zhao and Alistar, but LeBlanc has been left up. So maybe Vetheo goes for that way. I mean, he will be picking mid here and give counter pick to HiRit for top lane, so we'll see.
You know a lot about this mid lane matchup. If LeBlanc goes into Ryze, how playable is that matchup for Ryze? Because usually you just want to roam and just get out of lane.
I mean, basically it's like Ryze can push the 1v1, but you're always scared when playing against LeBlanc that you just get ganked, chained, and then you will just insta-die. That's why I think it's good, but okay, they leave last pick for Vetheo and they just blank pick Gnar. Oh, it's because every team banned Aurelia, I guess. And that's what they did yesterday as well, I believe.
Yeah, so they're trying to take it as a takeaway because I think Jenax was looking for that Gnar himself. We have seen Jenax a lot on the likes of Ryze as well when he want to just be isolated. Gwen has also been removed. And I'm not going to be talking about that until I see something like that for good reason. And just like that, the flex has been revealed.
They've been sniffed out and they said no. Yeah.
Tryndamere, okay.
Fun.
Okay, so what's up here for
You're looking very confused right now, Nisqy. You're like, Tryndamere.
I don't know. I mean, Tryndamere is a good champ, but I don't know if it's really good into Gnar. I mean, I'm not a top laner, so I cannot know, but he probably has something in his mind. I think Orianna, LeBlanc, or Syndra for Vetheo is my guess.
If it's Orianna,
it's been confusing. Nisqy has been saying that a while now, so let's see what they actually come through with. And no, who would have seen this coming on R5? It is still a blank for Vetheo.
Apparently Twitch chat is spamming, where's Aphelios, where's Jinx, what's going on? I think this is much more fun. The LeBlanc that was promised, finally locked in. Does that tie the comp together, Nisqy?
Yeah, I mean, I like LeBlanc, to be honest, into Jarvan. I think especially it's really good. Also, I like it versus left comp because they don't have that much like LeBlanc is kind of free to do whatever she wants. She can just poke and go out. They don't necessarily have like hard engage, even though people might say, yeah, they do, they have Jarvan, but it's against a LeBlanc that has a dash, so it's not that useful. And also paired with the Jhin, it's a really good combo.
Yeah, but I feel like on the side of SK, you have a lot of lanes to attack. Maybe too many, actually, because this Jarvan is going to be, a lot of the early clears is going to be about finding a kill. I think it makes the most sense to try and do it down towards the bot side, get Jezu ahead of this Kalista so you can kind of just snowball against the Jhin that have really low mobility. And from the side of Misfits, it's quite clear. Get Vetheo ahead and set him up for a carry performance once again. The classic Misfits.
Classic Misfits. They still have a chance to lock first place in the regular season. I was waiting for the coaches to handshake, but they're not there. Why aren't the Bears getting up? Regardless, SK definitely also want to go out with a bang, want to have one more win on the docket versus Misfits. So let's get into our first game of the last day of Super Week. SK Gaming versus Misfits.
We are on to the Rift. SK versus Misfits. I am Oisín. I am joined by the very tall and handsome Nymaera. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
We're also matching on the suits, you know?
We
Get a bit of coordination.
Okay.
Whoa! I looked away for a second and this thing's happened.
This is what you do on like Rel or Rakan and
or ARAM.
Okay, hang on, wait. What walls are there to flash over on ARAM? You tell me,
I
because
mean,
you're
if
playing on
there's
a
an
different map to me.
Anivia in the game, you know, you gotta speak more creative.
Okay, so... Okay, first off, that's actually very creative. Okay, you got out of that one. Point to you. But
gotta be smart, gotta be sharp on me now. Come on,
I appreciate
keep up.
that SK have come in with interesting picks. They have come in with interesting level 1. It failed, but I like it. And I like how they have come into this game to potentially take a very important game away from Misfits. We know that SK are out of playoffs contention. We know that Misfits are still in the race for the very top spots in our league, though. And you can see that SK, they're not burdened by the occasion.
I mean, honestly, you don't lose a lot for that play. It's an opportunity cost. Yes, you do not have the initial flash from Treatz. You still have Hex Flash. You're fine. You'll be able to do whatever you need to do in the laning phase. Jhin, Alistar, not exactly known for their, kill pressure, shall we say. And, we were excited to see maybe the Jarvan and bot bot side, Nautilus does a pretty similar thing with the Kalista.
So, and the thing with with having those Hex Flash, actually a lot of your engaged sports actually kind of prefer Hex Flash because they can just sit in a brush, control it like Treatz is doing right now, and look for these hooks, look for the early trades.
Yeah, they know they have the level 1 over this Jhin, not exactly the best at trading, and this is going to be some pretty decent damage here for SK. They're coming out swinging, I'm liking this.
Yeah, but of course, we need to see this from the Kalista if we're going to go set up how this early game should go. SK, Misfits, neither of these teams are ones which have renowned early games, but the best thing about this game when they're against each other is that one of these teams has to not lose the early game. They might go even, but for both these teams, it has been about getting to the mid game, about getting to the late game and surviving past the first few minutes of the game. SK, however, looking at the draft, do have a lot of early priority. They have a ganking jungler. They should be able to utilize first 5 to 10 minutes a little better than their draft yesterday, which really struggled in that regard.
I like how you worded that as well. Not lose the early game.
I'm not saying that both of them will win.
It's to say, like, no one's going to win the early game. They're just not going to lose it, and that's the big difference we want to make. And of course, Misfits have kind of made a name for themselves in the 2022 Spring Split of basically being known as let the objective bounties come in, see how far behind we can go, and then just punch them right back.
They are definitely connoisseurs of the new game mechanics coming into this season. Not so new anymore. Of course, it's been a whole split at this point. Oh my gosh, it's been a whole split.
It really has.
How'd you like that? But we've seen a lot of these picks throughout the entirety of it. Of course, as the desk was saying, this isn't the Jinx, this isn't the FLIS. We're going to have a different understanding of the meta at this point. So many of these teams are so practiced around those 2 AD carries. Things play out very, very differently when you have different bot laners on the table. The junglers, though, playing with pretty even prio, but Misfits moving first.
Yeah, it's going to be Gilius just flag and dragging over the top there. So we're going to see a hook down this bot side. It's a 2v2 for the moment. Mersa did go with the Aftershock versus the Glacial Augment of Treatz. And look, you might be coming in, this game means nothing. Actually, this game actually means a lot in terms of the standings of where everything is. If you think about it from that point of view, Misfits win, they lock top 2, and they would be first if Rogue lose later on to G2. If SK win, Rogue will lock top 2 and have a very high chance of making that top 1. And not only that, the more important thing about this is Vetheo gets 7 kills. He will join a very exclusive club of 100 or more kills in a single regular split. There's a lot here still to play for.
Okay, and we've done the checklist of things you need to watch out for in terms of all the narratives.
The narrative's done. Moving on.
So what I'm hoping for is, like, we see so many picks which can fight early. We've got the junglers which do that. The bot lanes which are continuing to fight. We got to talk about the plays instead.
Yeah, you got to keep going on top of this one. They're going to have so much CC now onto Mersa. The heal's going to be used. They're going to flash in. It's a double knock-up, though, from Gilius. They're not quite able to get the damage down. Yes, they are. The flash in with the rend, and it's Jezu picks up first blood.
And for a bot lane which has so often been criticized for their 2v2s, it's the Kalista, it's the Nautilus, it is the we are fighting you level 1 to 3 baby lane, which comes up early with some results for the SK bot lane. It's something which I said, they kind of need to do this. This is a comp which needs to stay ahead. That Kalista, if they don't get these lane advantages, is a very difficult champion to pilot. But as we come into this replay, you can see that Treatz has gone for the Glacial, doesn't have the Aftershock, but doesn't have any cares in the world at this point. When you have the Kalista, who has the ability to chase down in the lane, and a jungler that can do this machine-like reflexes on that.
It really was clean there, and that is the power of the Jarvan. They talked about it on the desk, the early lanes he's able to go for and make work for his team, and right just at the turret. So long, cowboy.
Well, I knew we set the stakes.
Don't even finish that sentence. Move on.
Okay. It's fine.
Move on.
You've cowed me into submission. Okay, right back into the mid lane. Treatz, after their successful play in the early game through that CV2, has gone towards the mid lane, and this is one of the things which happens when you have winning bot lane. This is not unique to the champions we've seen in the Jinx and the FLIS. Turns out if you just win bot lane, it's really easy to play through the map as your support. Treatz goes and secures that mid lane, looks for an opportunity, doesn't find anything, but is using this time to reset with a Kalista. Doesn't really need them to babysit them in the bot lane to achieve something across the map. Yeah,
well, Mersa knows that this is happening, as Treatz is very much in vision of the big old cow. And with Shlatan now clearing that ward, we are going to see Misfits putting a lot of pressure towards this top side. Eventually, they will back themselves away. But with the level 6 being hit there by Sertuss, you now have that realm warp to open yourself up, move yourself around the map, and maybe put Misfits under a little bit more pressure.
Yeah, particularly when you don't have the level 6 on the Alistar yet. You don't have a flash there either, and there are some summoners missing outside of that. Yeah, you look at that realm warp and you look at things being particularly dangerous. Yep. Summoner's top, though. That's a different story.
Yep, Jenax should be able to, not even going to need the Undying Rage right there. The Ghost and the Flash is enough, and the thing is, when you're in Mini Gnar, you do not have any armor whatsoever. It is so rough for you, and if you get jumped on like that, there's nowhere for you to go.
It's a mistake in the laning phase. A bit of a freebie from HiRit, trying to get that Rage Bar, but just misses out on a couple of seconds to get the Mega Gnar, get that CC from the wall up, or otherwise to disengage the play. It is 2 Summoners gone now from Jenax, and it's not got him any tower plates, but it's a kill nonetheless. Bot side is where we draw the eye again.
Yeah, we're going to go in, and there's going to be action all across the map. Mersa almost taken down. He finally falls, but they've traded it back. That's 1 kill for Vetheo as he starts to keep pushing forward. They're almost on the Shlatan, who almost goes down, but not quite. And he's still keeping himself alive as Jezu finishes himself off. Vetheo onto 2 of 7, but Jezu is not done right now. The flash away, he gets himself out of range of the Rend, and that's 3 kills now for Vetheo.
And he's going full Bon Jovi. We're halfway there. 3 out of 7, maybe give him another half on it, but either way, they find themselves, Misfits, at an early game deficit yet again, but much earlier into the game this time, they find some kind of turnaround. We talked about the Realm Warp being very important, but also having the skirmishing ability of the heavy CC of your jungle, of your support, having that Mimic on the LeBlanc for such high base damages early into the game too, really carries this fight. It breaks down into a series of messy skirmishes. LeBlanc uses that mobility. However, you know that Realm Warp, that's still relevant.
It is still very relevant. Sertuss goes a little bit too far forward. No flash on HiRit left. He's in Mini Gnar again, and he's being chased down. He's got himself a triple knockup from Mersa, who saves his top laner. HiRit's about to go Mega. That's number 4 for Vetheo as they finally get themselves the 2 kills turned back. It's just all messy, all fighting, but we love it.
We absolutely do. I mean, maybe they could slow down so we can have something else to talk about in this game, but the map has been lit on fire, almost literally.
Of course, with that trade up on the top side, it is going to mean pressure in bot. We've got so much moving, and this is, again, a game of League of Legends. You move somewhere, somewhere else gets pushed against you.
There's these cross maps coming in and returning back again to a bit more of a normality in this. We are now seeing split map states, and you have to say, okay, what AD carries are being left alone? What can they achieve with that? It's not like, again, we have the Jinx and the Aphelios, or something a bit more able to take down these towers. Kalista and Jhin, they don't take structures quite as quickly, but they're still getting gold. They're still getting ahead of the curve in both regards. We see that Gilius is looking to shield SK in this bot lane, but what I do love about what SK are doing right now is they're using this Kalista with the level 6 as a wrecking ball, using that as a point of pressure. See how that works out with this split map state to engage more fights.
Oh, Vetheo's feeling it. Neon gets himself out with the curtain call there. Vetheo will not be picking that one up there, but 4-0-3 here for the Misfits mid laner. He is on a roll, and this LeBlanc is just going to get scarier and scarier the longer we wait.
And it's all well and good for me saying, oh, you can use the Kalista as a wrecking ball. It turns out that Vetheo is the wrecking crew in this game, doing it all by themselves, really. They've found the angles into those fights, and I'm going to go back into the replay to see how, of course, this last demolition came about. This was... it was a hoppy on the wave. It was the double chain, something that we've seen a great many LeBlanc do over the years, but this time they have themselves an AD carry that can follow up from a little further away, and the Jhin puts him down.
That skin is gorgeous. I don't like talking about... Oh, we're going to have another one. Dead. What were those 3 lines, I wonder? It was a bit of a clipping thing there, but...
It's a line for each kill that Vetheo is going to get on him this game. It's, looking to see if Jenax can repeat and reprise their performances of that first solo kill. Going in, still has the ult, pop the Ghost.
Yeah, they're going to pop the Ghost. The Undying Rage is still there. He just about gets it off now. HiRit needs to try and keep running away. He will have himself a hop over the wall, but it's not enough. That's 3 kills now for the Tryndamere. And just as much as we're saying this LeBlanc's getting scary, this Tryndamere is becoming unmatched in the side lane.
And we have to track so many individual points of power at this time because we have the side lane threat now. We have the skirmishing threats all online. We do have a Herald. It's going to come back to team fights. The Tryndamere doesn't have the ult, so that gold is not relevant just yet, though.
I mean, look at the bot lane as well. Like, you're going up against 4 members of Misfits here. Vetheo over to the side of the wall. You haven't moved your Kalista. Jezu is saying, look, I can get more done on this bot side. I can get those plates to myself. And yes, we see Kalista as a mid-game spiking champion, but when you're able to kind of trade it back for the Rift Herald, it is still an equal trade for Misfits.
It is, but SK is still trying to poke their head around the corner, see if they can look for something there. Trying to play Spectator. Jenax doesn't have the ult. Remember, he's behind enemy lines and might have to go for an execute.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to go for a long walk through some turrets, just going to execute himself. And before he does that, actually, he might just be trying to stall out just a little bit more. Just between the turrets, he's just proxying and shut down goes over to Neon.
I mean, I know that we've seen some deaths for the greater good last couple of days, but that's feeding kills over to a very important player for this team of Misfits.
Yeah, and when you talk about Misfits and Neon, like, we're obviously a lot of focus going there onto the mid lane, but Neon has been just as good. We look at how he did yesterday as well, and like, the guy came out 7-6, 5-7, nearly 800 damage per minute. That is just absurd to come out from it, and it's a big win as well.
It was huge, and of course it was against one of the top contenders in this league. We know that Misfits are looking towards the top spots now. They find themselves in a rare, unprecedented opportunity to try and take down what we assumed were the strongest squads in our league. Now, they have to get through SK4, and it has been a messy affair so far, but Neon has been the engine behind the powerhouse of Vetheo as well. Picks up a lot of slack in the late game, and HiRit, well, he's hitting the ground here.
Yep, HiRit is going to be hitting the ground faster than we could even cast it as we get the Rift Herald going up into that top side. A lot of gold being shifted on both sides. You can see it being basically distributed between different carries. Massive lead in the top side for Jenax, but then you look at the mid lane, huge lead for Vetheo, and then on the other side of that, it's another big lead for Jezu in that bot side. They will get a second charge here. Jenax does have himself his flash and his ult available, but there's a lot of single target CC. I don't know if he wants to go under the turret for that.
But what this does mean with that, just looking a bit further forward, is well, what it does mean is you've got long lanes to play side lanes. Vetheo does get out, but this is the map that we find ourselves with now. Outer towers being shredded everywhere and inner tower being taken down. You look at the Tryndamere, you look at the LeBlanc, it puts even more importance for them to use their huge leads well. So track that as the game goes on. We have very powerful members on both sides in different roles. They need to start pulling their weight.
I'm a little annoyed about that play. I felt like you just needed to Gilius going in, and then, you know, the ultimate as well from Jezu. It felt disconnected. It felt like they were going to the same target where they should have went for different areas. I don't know. I digress.
I mean, Treatz had just used the flash and the ultimate. Well, rather the ultimate wasn't available. So there wasn't as much point and click, and there was a flash still on Vetheo. Maybe they could have come on in a little bit more to get
maybe
something
I'm just
out.
being harsh.
I mean,
you know?
Part of me thinks, yeah, okay, maybe land one of your CC. Yeah. But the other thing is that it is a LeBlanc. Will let you off just about this time.
I know, right? I was gonna make a point about how, like, you know, we make analysis sound as we're gonna see a Cataclysm coming down. It's gonna be on top of two people as Shlatan and Mersa are trying to just echo in on top of this thing. They're trying to escort people in, but Jezu gets the first kill. He gets exhausted down, but you're on full retreat mode now here as Misfits Neon off to the side trying to use those curtain call shots to slow down and pepper down the damage. You won't be able to pick up a single kill, and that's two quick kills going over to the side of SK. Vetheo in a lot of trouble. Flashed in on top of, and he will be shut down where he stands. SK are bringing the fight to Misfits.
And for the first time, we see grouped fights. We see everyone culminating on the same spot, and it's the Kalista that's in the middle of things, and it's the Jhin that can't really contribute in the same way. Immediately, you've got one of these frontliners taken down. Shlatan doesn't get a huge amount done, and the retreat is called. Neon is trying to pull off something, but end of the day, you're not auto-attacking on that Jhin. You haven't got the front foot in the fight. You're trying to play catch-up, and the Jhin is not great in that regards. And that flash that was saved earlier from Vetheo, kind of used in vain.
Just a little bit. They decide to go left. It was the correct door. That gives the shutdown there over to Gilius. Turret in the top lane taken down as well. And we're looking at about a 2,500 gold lead. And again, like I said, Jenax is huge right now. HiRit can't really go toe-to-toe as much as he probably like to. He's 2 levels down.
HiRit is mini, and he doesn't have it. Whoa, chance in it.
Oh! He didn't have his ult. He did not have his ult. HiRit getting himself back. Another one. That's a 1-4-2 Gnar in mini form. That was just Jenax not really respecting it.
Catches a little bit by surprise. At least catches me by surprise. Maybe I should have checked some of those cooldowns myself as Jenax failed to do so on the ultimate. Sertuss between a rock and a hard place in bot lane.
Yeah, he's gonna be all right though, because he's got himself his turret, and those minions are doing some work to Shlatan. Shlatan's gonna be the focus here. Gonna have to use a Kretzing guard as they just missed the hook on the top side. That would have been a nice little bounty to go back over to the side, but it's gonna be Shlatan getting baited in. Sertuss having himself the stopwatch keeps him alive, and now 11-9 in kills. 2 dragons to the side of SK. Misfits, we know they like to play the early game, but now we'll see if SK can actually really punish them for this.
So when we were talking about, okay, well, one of these teams has to come out at least even from this early game, right? These teams which have typically struggled at that point find themselves actually on relatively even footing. It is lead over to SK, but at least Misfits, they're not coming back from. They don't need to make another heroic charge against huge deficits. And as we said, their main carry for the split in Vetheo has done very well so far, getting themselves up to a large amount of gold very, very early on. But the fights are still continuing to be traded.
And let's reset ourselves here. It's been a very chaotic game. We've had a lot of different movement. Probably not as bog standard as we expected. Where do you want to see these two teams play around? We have 50 seconds until the Dragon. There are some key summoners down as well for both sides.
I think it does come back to the side lanes again. I think that I'm particularly looking at Jenax starting to push in, having a Realm Warp to go help them. On the other side, if HiRit can start playing that weak side and getting those micro advantages, succeeding where maybe you expect it to be a bit of a done deal, then Misfits can start getting some wiggle room to play some of these fights up a little more. But either way, if you start losing those side lanes as the side of Misfits, and you let that Tryndamere start to get a look in, then you've got the Kalista ult to be afraid of. You've got the Realm ult to be afraid of to break open these fights and make it a very multi-directional confrontation. Misfits, though, as it stands, have got themselves the inside track on this Dragon. They do have HiRit sat on a TP in that top side, whereas Tryndamere has had to be called down early to the fight. Has
been called down early. No flash available here for Jezu, so he would be the carry we would... And Sertuss as well. So pretty much everybody, apart from Treatz, has not got their flash for SK, and we're on a decent enough position here for Misfits.
I think that flash is very important. Of course, you've got the Kalista ult to keep yourself safe. You can use that flash much more aggressively, but the Kalista gets to the Dragon first. The Misfits are looking at it going down.
That's going to be Soul Point. They're going to get the hook off as well. They're going to try and burn this one down. Vetheo exhausted straight away. They're going to be able to use the ultimate from the Kalista as well. They're going to try and burn him down. Shlatan has fallen. Now Jezu's going to start getting those spears into the backs of Misfits. It's a fight on two fronts. HiRit can't do anything. Yes, we're seeing the Jhin use the curtain call, but the Realm Warp, peekaboo, I see you, has to get himself out of there straight away. And HiRit just had no impact on this fight whatsoever, and he will fall as well.
And SK, they're using this platform they found from the early game to use their mobility, use this way to get different angles into the fight. Misfits couldn't stand and fight. They couldn't play around the Jhin, who does have gold. They couldn't play around the LeBlanc, who is put into the bounce house so easily. And Misfits, they have to play retreat right from the off.
I mean, Jezu's feeling it. Jezu wants to try and make this one work. Sertuss will land himself the spell Flux, and that is going to be Vetheo shut down again. Misfits, this is a bit too disconnected.
It is, and on the other side, SK, serious credit to them. They had a very difficult game yesterday where they couldn't find any of their players, but this time they're skirmishing with the best of them. You can see, Vetheo, what options do they have in this fight? They're CC'd for the grand majority of it. I would be surprised to see if they're getting more than a couple of hundred damage off in the entirety of this 5-on-5. See that HiRit has to play in an isolated fight themselves, and it is just broken fights time after time. The first fight, which went well for Misfits, of course, that was another broken fight, but that was with Vetheo getting their own angles, being able to use everything to get in. This time, not nearly the same.
The sixth man has joined, though.
All right.
Objective bounties.
Oh.
Misfits have got their sixth man on the riff right now. They are going to be able to accelerate themselves. I'm memeing. As Guldborg said on the desk, it does not actually make that big of a difference, but it is a concern, like they said on the desk as well, that this is a bit of a consistent theme now for Misfits against big and small teams, that they're not really able to control this, first 20 minutes of the game, and they have to crawl it back. You don't always want to be playing catch-up.
No, but Misfits seeing their camps get taken away, a red buff contested at the very least, and this is kind of, again, like the side benefits you get from being able to push in and get vision. SK managing to find some extra bonuses. But Misfits, realistically, this is not a game which you're looking at for the sake of the result itself. It's a confidence booster going into playoffs. We know this is one of our top teams in the standings, but they want to give themselves, again, a bit of an argument for themselves, performing well in the best of fives, but this game is anything but that right now.
Yeah, and again, like you said, it is a bit of a confidence booster, but also you need this win to lock top 2. You need to be able to stop yourself from being drafted in against a team that maybe you don't want to play against. You want to try and at least give yourself a shot at picking your opponent in the playoffs, and that's what this is all about. As we can see now, Misfits being pushed further and further back into their own jungle. They're getting pulled around the map so quickly, and you mentioned it earlier, now that we have the Jhin Kalista, it's not the Aphelios Jinx. Picking up these waves isn't as easy as it was with those two mainstay AD carries.
And actually, a thing which I want to return back to is, remember when that top lane turret was taken so long ago with one of those Herald charges from Misfits? I can't remember the last time Misfits actually managed to utilize that. There is no vision in the top quadrant. They've been fighting around that dragon. They lost that fight. They haven't got any vision off of their reset. Misfits, the advantages which they have found in terms of the territory they've taken hasn't led to anything yet. Whereas you look at SK, they have blue wards on the other side of the river. They have the ability to return to these side lanes and play them out safely. SK are managing the map better than Misfits currently.
I will say you are on a little bit of a timer in terms of what Jezu's impact will be. He will still be relevant later on in the game, but it does become a little less prominent, especially when Jhin starts to build up those crit items. Already got that rapid fire cannon alongside that Gale Force. You are still looking at a 2.5 item spike here for the Kalista, but it will become harder and harder the game goes on.
Let me give a little bit of a time boost to the side of SK. You see those neutral objectives up at the top of the scoreboard there? You see one particular one in the size of a... well, what happens if that becomes 4? Things get very, very difficult with the Infernal Soul for the side of SK. These explosive fights where you're picking off someone like a LeBlanc who is very slippery, but if they take that damage, it sticks. You don't have something like a Zhonya's, you're not that tanky yourself. It's difficult for Misfits to survive the initial brunt of the damage coming through from SK.
It all changed when the Fire Nation attacked, and that's what Misfits want to try and stop from happening here. And SK, they're doing very, very well. Like we said, you know, most people come into this kind of a game. We mentioned at the top of the day, look, you know, SK, they've got nothing to win. They've got nothing to lose. They literally gain absolutely nothing. But you want to go out with a bang, and you want to give your best foot forward and also give a lot of question marks to the opposition number.
No, and considering, you know, SK started 2-7. They started in such dire circumstances, struggling to pick up any of these wins, picking up a couple of rookies too. This would be so big for a lot of the players. It's a proof of concept. It's a blueprint. It's something to work on towards summer, and it's something to just put a thorn in the side of these top teams to say, we'll see you next split. Remember us then.
Here we go, though. There's going to be a Realm Orbit to that bot side. Vetheo's found himself Jezu, but he gets the exhaust off straight away. Shlatan getting jumped on. He's going to be taken out. Dragon has spawned. That's going to be the next one. Jezu's in a lot of trouble, and he is shut down. Taken by the big Gnar, but the fight is still yet to be finished. As we can see, Sertuss and Vetheo trying to go in on top of this one. You still have a Tryndamere who is very, very angry and still wants to make the most out of this fight. He wants minced meat for dinner, and that's exactly what he's going to get.
Okay, it's a shutdown onto the Kalista. They get rid of priority target number 1. Okay, what about priority targets number 2 and number 3 in that Ryze and in the Tryndamere? They don't manage to collect the full set of them, and Misfits, they lose steam halfway through the fight. That's an Infernal Soul. That is SK taking a commanding lead in this game.
Infernal Soul, 5,500 gold, and Jenax is still happy to quote-unquote overextend here because he didn't even use his Undying Rage in that last fight, and you can just see the power that the exhaust has with Kalista. If Vetheo tries to go in to blow them up, he's immediately mitigated.
And you can see a little bit of the desperation on the side of Misfits, but it's also SK forcing the errors. They're making sure that they're splitting up the fight again. They know that at this point they have to play that kind of style, very quickly taking out Shlatan. You know that there's no smite at that point. At that point, Misfits go, oh heck, there's no smite on our team. We have to continue the fight. They stay a little too long. They walk into the bounce house, and Vetheo, again, really, really struggling to get the priority targets down on the side of SK. Doesn't have the room to do so, and he's left limping with half a HP bar. Even if he saves his life, he's not really getting down the key carries.
And that's the big thing as well, like key carries and Misfits. Yes, you got the Kalista, well done you, but you had to invest so much of your resources that at the end of it, you don't really have a lot left.
I think serious credit again outside of, you know, the names which you mentioned already on SK's. Actually, look at that 7-2 and 7 on that Dutch Jarvan. That is some serious frontline work and some serious work with that Conqueror coming later and later into those fights from the SK jungler, and Misfits have to find themselves an X-Factor somehow because they're losing across the map.
Yeah, well, could come from HiRit, who's now able to at least go toe-to-toe now that he has got that Triforce finished up alongside the Hullbreaker. However, Jenax is going towards those Navori Quick Blades and also the Lord Dominic's Regards, so he's going to have a lot more in the tank as the game goes on.
He's going towards items of some kind.
Everything. Yep. I had to cover myself because I realized there was quite a few combinations that could have come out there.
It's like, you know, when you read like this is reading the terms and conditions of Tryndamere build. It's like, would you like to play Tryndamere? Look at these 5 pages of potential components you can go towards. This champion has always been very, very versatile in what he builds. SK, though, not giving Misfits versatile options. They're saying, come to Baron. Let's see how the next fight goes.
I mean, they still got a ward in the back of the pit. It has not been seen, so this is going to be Misfits knowing what it is. And we saw this, Misfits getting themselves a Baron steal yesterday. Here we go, the curtain call comes out. They're going to try and take it. They will get it with the Rend, and that's going to be secured now by SK. They're seeing them go over the wall. It will not be done, though, as Mersa is the one who has to fall. You have TP'd in the Gnar, who's finally going mega. Treatz trying to make this fight work. Double kill going in for Jezu, and he is just free hitting now on the backside. Triple kill for the SK AD carry as he gets himself a Quadra as well. They're saving him. They want this. They know they can get it. Penta kill for Jezu.
And in a game which doesn't matter for the playoffs fate of SK, that doesn't affect their history in this split. They still stamp their mark. They still come out with some skirmish wins into the full team fight, decimations of Misfits, and it comes through Jezu at this point. Talked about that timer on the composition. Maybe it was extended a little bit through that Infernal Soul. It's also extended by SK just piling onto the right targets. They do push up the tempo of this game. They force the hand of Misfits. They constrain their options and say, you gotta come to us at this point. The run comes through. They knew they had the objective secured more than likely, and using their multiple engage options back to back with that Fate's Call into everything. It doesn't matter that Neon is left at the back of this because the heavy lifting has been done on the initial engage. All of the targets have been found on the side of SK, and this one's just the icing on top.
If you're gonna go out, that's a good way to go out, in my opinion. That is a fantastic little gift to be given over as HiRit actually fights on two different fronts. Shlatan gonna get knocked up here by the depth charge, and now he's in a lot of trouble. They're gonna be able to throw out the cook as well as Jezu once more. He's gonna get beaten around a little bit in the bounce house, but Mersa's all by him lonesome, and he'll be taken down. There's going to be 2 more kills going on the side of SK as Vetheo gets soloed out by Sertuss and taken down. This is SK in total control, and they are going to deny any kind of top 2 right now for Misfits.
It's a deficit too far. It's a fight lost too many. Misfits looking like they're heading towards that final L of the season.
Yeah, and it will not be 100 kills for Vetheo unless something absolutely spectacular happens. SK are playing spoiler today. They will deny a top 2 for now and almost certainly put themselves on as a little bit of a thorn in the side of Misfits.
That is not going to be able to finish off the regular split the way they want to. SK, however, playing spoilers.
Here we go. It's a party all on the fountain. Bring your friends. Bring your damage. We got a laser. We got some kills going over. They still haven't died. What the hell was that? I love how the laser's just like, nah, minions. Well, one more kill there for Vetheo. Not quite going to be able to hit the 100, but SK swinging out with a win.
2 kills shy of the 100 for Vetheo, but that game was not even close by the end of it. SK picking towards the early game, didn't go towards the Jinx of Phelios, changed the game plan completely up, and SK, what a way to end that split.
And also, thank you, Jezu. Gave me a pentakill, so, you know, I'm happy with that. I don't get many opportunities on the LEC stage, so I'm glad he was a bro. He was a bro to me right there, you know?
Playing the first Kalista of the split as well.
Yeah, first Kalista.
Yeah,
first pentakill for him.
There is something really
I'll have to check that.
bold to be said about a team that can change the game, play their own style, even when the stakes are gone.
Yeah, well, we're going to see what you guys thought at home. Key player of the game at LEC on Twitter, Gilius, Sertuss, or Jezu. Again, you made mention to both. I think Jezu's going to maybe get it because of the penta, but everyone did their part.
100%. I think that Gilius also early game. We talked about that being a sticking point for this team. Not to be seen this game.
Yeah, it is going to be sadly a little bit more of a kind of hill for Misfits as we come back into it. But before we head to the break, Riot Games is supporting and donating to the International Medical Corps, and you can join us in the effort to provide relief to those in Ukraine and the surrounding regions. The IMC teams are responding by expanding access to medical and mental health services for those living in affected areas, and working to help refugees. Your donation can help more people receive the life-saving care they deserve. Please go to riot.com/donate to learn more. We'll be back after this with Jezu joining Lore for the interview.